Have you ever wondered why some people seem to attract opportunities, while others, no matter how hard they try, seem to stay stuck? The difference isn't in what they have or what they know. It's in how they choose to see the world. I know, you've gone through tough times, when everything seems to go wrong and hope feels distant. But what if I told you that sometimes the only thing you need to change to turn things around is your attitude? Yes, the way you approach life every single day can transform your reality in ways you never imagined. Today, I'm going to show you how small daily adjustments in your attitude can be the key to unlocking doors and attracting everything you've always wanted. I'm not talking about a magical shift, but a quiet revolution that starts from within. I know it might seem challenging to make these daily changes, especially when life doesn't seem to cooperate. But this shift in attitude will be the key to your freedom, to inner peace, and to finally living a life you love. Next, we'll talk about how communication can be your ally in this transformational process. Have you ever stopped to think that maybe the key to everything you want lies in a simple, yet incredibly powerful skill? Communication. I know you've probably felt misunderstood at times. Perhaps you even said something that wasn't properly interpreted. And often the root of this isn't what you say, but how you say it. Or rather, how much you actually listen to the other person. Communication isn't just about talking, it's about how you connect with the people around you. And believe me, a real connection can change everything. Most people believe communication is just about spilling words. But it's much more than that. It starts with listening. And not just hearing, but listening with empathy. It's about stopping to think about what you're going to say next and truly understanding what the other person is feeling. When you really listen, you begin to understand the person as a whole, their insecurities, their fears, their hopes, and that's something rare. These days, we're so immersed in our own thoughts that we forget to make space for the other to be heard. In a simple and shallow example, if you say, "I was born in such and such month, I'm of this zodiac sign," the other person will automatically respond with, "I was born in such and such month, I'm of this zodiac sign." In other words, they didn't really listen to what you said. They just interacted by talking about themselves. If you learn to truly listen, the way you communicate will change completely. Believe me, a person who knows how to listen is far more powerful than someone who talks non-stop. I know you've been in a situation where no matter how much you spoke, people either didn't listen or didn't respond the way you expected. This happens when communication isn't clear, when there's no genuine connection. Now imagine the power of communication that's not only clear, but also genuine and empathetic. This doesn't just create more influence, it also builds trust, which in any area of life is the foundation of everything. When you communicate effectively, you create an energy around you that attracts people, opens doors, and solves problems much more easily. And yes, you'll notice that conflicts decrease. Not because you're ignoring differences, but because you learn to respect other people's perspectives in a way that everyone feels heard and respected. And that's what creates true trust. Have you noticed how those who have sharp communication seem to always be in control? They're not shouting or trying to force their ideas. They simply know how to listen, know when to speak, and most importantly, know how to make others feel valued. This is a skill that goes beyond technique. It's about presence, empathy, and truly wanting to understand the other person. Did you know that trust, both yours and others, deeply depends on how you communicate? Words have power, but gestures, tone of voice, and the energy with which you transmit your ideas speak even louder. And all of this starts with how you listen. When you practice empathetic listening, you show the other person they are important, that their opinion matters. This creates an environment where trust naturally flourishes. And when trust is established, possibilities multiply. Stronger relationships, fewer misunderstandings, and of course, better results. Remember, communication isn't about you shining. It's about making the other person feel seen and heard. This skill creates bridges between you and others, attracts new opportunities, and transforms any relationship, whether personal or professional. Now that you understand the importance of communicating in a more empathetic and strategic way, you might be wondering, how can I make this a daily practice? How do I make empathetic listening and speaking part of who I am? Have you ever felt frustrated by knowing what you need to do, but simply not doing it? This is a silent pain that eats you up inside. It's not a lack of dreams, it's not a lack of ability, it's a lack of consistency. Discipline is not about willpower. It's about doing what needs to be done even when everything inside you wants to give up. The truth that almost no one has the courage to say is that most people are waiting to feel like doing something before they act. And this is one of the biggest traps of the mind, because desire is volatile, it comes and goes, but results, they only come to those who can act even when they don't feel like it. Discipline is not rigidity, it's freedom. It's what builds the bridge between what you want and what you actually achieve. Do you know why? Because without discipline, your plans turn into just beautiful ideas on paper. Beautiful dreams that never get off the ground. It's discipline that turns intention into action. It's what pulls you out of bed when comfort tries to hold you back. It's what makes you train when you're tired, study when you're bored, take care of yourself when everything seems to be falling apart. And the most important part, it's not something you're born with. Discipline isn't a gift, it's a muscle. And like any muscle, it grows when you exercise it every day, even through small actions. One day you resist the temptation to quit. The next you choose what needs to be done over what's easiest. And suddenly, what seemed impossible becomes a part of who you are. There are two types of pain. The pain of discipline, which is temporary, and the pain of regret, which lasts a lifetime. You choose between getting up early to take care of your health or waking up one day feeling that you've lost your vitality. You choose between studying today or regretting tomorrow the lack of opportunities. Discipline is about taking control of your story, and that doesn't mean living in a prison. On the contrary, the more disciplined you become, the freer you are. Free from chaos, anxiety, procrastination. Free from the version of yourself that keeps you stuck in the same place. And if you're wondering why, even though you try to be disciplined, you still feel stuck, maybe the problem lies in something deeper, something invisible but powerful, your limiting beliefs. Let's dive into this dark territory of the mind, where you often sabotage yourself without even realizing it. It's not the world out there that stops you from growing, it's the invisible bars you've built inside your mind. Most people live locked in a cell that has no door or lock, and the name of that cell is limiting belief. The worst prison is the one that feels normal, the one that convinces you that you're just this way, that you weren't born for this, that you've never been good with numbers, you're not cut out to be an entrepreneur, you don't relate well with people. These phrases seem harmless, but they're programming your mind every day to fail before you even try. Your external reality will always be a reflection of your internal reality. You can take courses, set goals, plan everything in minute detail, but if deep down you don't believe you deserve it, that you're capable, that it's possible, everything sabotages itself along the way. Your mind will always look to confirm what it believes. That's why true transformation starts with the language you use with yourself. Every time you think, "I can't," your brain interprets that as truth. But when you change that internal dialogue and say, "I'm learning," "I don't know yet, but I'm getting there," you open up a new path. You plant possibilities where there were only walls before. Changing beliefs is not a magic trick that happens overnight. It's a process. A daily, patient, deep reprogramming. It starts with small victories, a step outside of your comfort zone, a conscious decision to do something differently. And little by little, the stories you told about yourself begin to change. The "I am this way" becomes "I am becoming." The "I've never been good at this" turns into "I'm getting better every day." And it's in this new script that life begins to respond differently. Because when you change from the inside, the world changes on the outside. But it's no use changing your mind if you continue wasting your most precious asset, time. There's one thing that you and the most successful people in the world have in exactly the same measure, 24 hours a day. The difference is in what you do with them. Have you ever stopped to think about how much of your life is slipping through your fingers in activities that don't move you, don't transform you, and don't bring you closer to the life you say you want? Because the truth is this: it's not a lack of time, it's a lack of clarity, it's a lack of intention. You say you don't have time to take care of yourself, but you watch 3 hours of videos you won't remember tomorrow. You say you want to change, your life, but you start the day on autopilot, already submerged in other people's demands. And before you know it, it's night. You're tired, frustrated, with the feeling that you've lived another day without truly living. You know why? Because without a plan, the world decides for you. And the world wants you to stay distracted, exhausted, and unproductive. Using time wisely isn't about filling your schedule to the brim. It's knowing when to stop, when to focus, when to breathe. It's understanding that strategic breaks aren't a waste of time. They're an investment of energy. It's planning your day with intention, even if that takes just 10 minutes in the morning. It's learning to say no to everything that steals your time and saying yes to what truly matters. When you live with intention, even the simplest tasks gain purpose, and the day stops being just a repetition and becomes construction. And here's the most ignored truth. The time you don't use to grow will be used to numb you. Some people stop growing long before they die, and they don't even realize it. They keep repeating the same thoughts, the same routines, the same mistakes, as if they're stuck in an endless loop. The only thing that changes is the calendar. But the world out there is transforming every single day. And if you don't grow, along with it you fall behind. Not just professionally, but emotionally, spiritually, and as a human being. Because when you stop learning, you stop adapting. And those who don't adapt suffer. They suffer with life, with others, with their own stagnation. Seeking knowledge is not a luxury. It's food for the soul. Reading, listening, studying, reflecting. These are ways to build new versions of yourself. Each page you read, each insight from a podcast, each deep conversation that takes you beyond the surface is like laying bricks in your own growth. And the craziest part? It doesn't take much time. It takes intention. 15 minutes a day, listening to something that elevates your consciousness is worth more than hours spent on social media that only drain you. Because there is a brutal difference between being full of information and being nourished with wisdom. School taught you how to survive, but daily learning is what teaches you how to thrive. Formal education might guarantee a paycheck, but it's continuous education that builds your freedom. And here, I'm not just talking about money. I'm talking about emotional freedom, mental clarity, maturity to deal with your own pain. Those who learn every day grow stronger. Those who grow stronger become free. But there's one detail that almost no one tells you. You might be learning all the time and still feel lost. Because without a clear purpose, even the best knowledge turns into noise. Maybe after all this, you're wondering where to start. The truth is, you don't need to change your whole life today. You just need to choose one habit, one step, and give yourself permission to be someone new, a little bit each day. Transformation doesn't start when everything is clear. It starts in the dark, when even without certainty you choose to keep going. Choose to grow. Choose to look at yourself with more truth and less judgment. And if this video has touched on something that had been forgotten inside of you, don't ignore it. Comment below. What habit will you start practicing tomorrow? Not to feed the platform's algorithm, but for you to hear yourself and to remind yourself every day that life changes when we change. If this content made sense, share it with someone who's also seeking clarity. Maybe it's exactly what that person needed to hear today. See you in the next video.